Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. Protests have broken out all over the nation in response to the killing of George Floyd's murder at the hands of a Minneapolis police officer. Well, while that police officer has been arrested finally, I believe it's due to the protest itself. But are the protests enough? Will they solve the problems? Remember, we've been down this road before. Ferguson, mass protesting. Rodney King, we go back, mass protesting and rioting, by the way. So we've been down this road before. What really would it take to stop the madness? Well, I got a couple of thoughts. Before we get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. Well, look, it's chilling every time I watch the video of the brutal killing. It's kind of to see it on film. And by the way, make no mistake, this is the tipping point, right? The graphic nature, the guy knee on the neck of a man whom they had already subdued and handcuffed. Now he's going to answer to his crime. He's going to be arrested. He's already been arrested. He's going to go through a trial. And if I had to make a speculation, he's going to be convicted. I don't know if he'd do a lot of time, but we'll see. This is a graphic video. Is it possible he can be acquitted? Could be. But here's the thing that I want to say. We've been down this road before. Remember, Ferguson had mass protests and rioting. Rodney King back in the 90s, protests and rioting. So we've been down this road before. And while protests are good, I encourage protest. This protest is bringing light to the culture of heavy-handed policing. I'm not going to even sit up and say, not all police officers are bad, because you had one standing there watching his partner, watching his fellow police officer with his knee snuffing the life out of George Floyd. But the protesters only can go so far. And yes, they do bring light. And then you have the scrambling. You have the media, in which, even as I said before, even Fox News condemn it. But mark your word, Fox News is going to switch, as they always do. And they will come to the aid of the police departments and police everywhere. And they're going to come to the aid, as some do with the silly arguments. Well, what about black on black crime, right? But what needs to stop? Because right now, yes, the system is vulnerable for change. So it needs to change. But understand that when you have these kind of protests, they are the flashpoints, the tipping point. In other words, enough is enough. Remember, there was Breonna Taylor, who was an EM out of Louisville, Kentucky, who was gunned down by police who got it wrong. They had a no-knock warrant, got the wrong house. They kicked in, didn't identify themselves. Her boyfriend, a registered gun owner who was protecting his house, shot at the police. They pumped, I think, with 8 bullets in her, killing her, and she's in her underwear. The problem is that the police were excused. Look like they're going to get off. And that's a kind of different case. I get it. But here's where it's all going to be the common denominator. Why is it that they felt a need to shoot and pump bullets in when they didn't follow procedures? Well, remember Atiana Jefferson, the pre-med student who was playing video games with her nephew in Fort Worth? Police officer went around the back, didn't identify himself. She was, again, a registered carrying gun owner. Police didn't. What was interesting about that call was a neighbor called and said, "Hey, the door is open. I'm concerned." It was a well-being check. And instead of knocking on the door saying, hey, is anybody in here? Everybody all right? The police went around. When she heard people rumbling in the back, since the police didn't identify themselves as the police, he shot her in the head in front of her nephew. Let's not forget Philando Castile, registered gun owner. He informed the police officer who was looking for a reason to stop. This police officer shot this man in front of his 4-year-old daughter. The point is, there's a culture. There is a culture that police feel it is okay. A couple of things about this. One, how they view and they see African Americans. It's almost like it's always a shoot first, shoot to kill first, and then let's sort it out later. They don't do that with white people. You don't really see them in general, okay? For the most part, there are exceptions to the rule where they will shoot. In fact, there was a case a few years ago where a young white boy was pleading for his pleading for his life in a hotel hallway. And the trigger-happy cop shot him dead. But that's the exception to the rule, people. For every one white, you're going to have a dozen other African Americans unarmed that is shot and killed by the police. And those numbers are not disputed. And it's kind of even silly to even try to make the comparison. But there's a culture. Now, we can't do anything about how a police officer sees African Americans and people of color. The other thing is that, and this is the more important thing, is that it is the system that shields them from prosecution. And when you know that system shields you from prosecution, then you're going to have more of an attitude that is going to be reckless, when it comes to African Americans. They are extremely important and careful when it comes to white people. If you don't believe me, look at the cases where the armed protesters stormed Capitol buildings, got face up in cops' face. They were professional, restrained, controlled. Now, if you imagine if an African American did that, how would that play out? Not good. So either way, let me just say this. Within the law, this is why, and we have to even hold out and wait that these officers in Minneapolis, one was arrested. I'm going to assume the other ones will have some type of charges filed against them. Maybe the one that was stood by, he may receive the least of the criminal justice. But for sure, they're going to go through the court. But within the law, you have to look at, were they operating within the law? Now watch this. Divorce yourself from how it looks. And then you have to look at, what does the law says? What does the law say about how police officers are shielded from that very act? And that's going to play out in the law. And what I'm going to say is that that's what needs to change. You see, law needs to change. There are two things that need to change if you want to stop this madness. If they want to stop the rioting, if they want to stop people reacting this way. How about this? It's kind of amazing that police departments all over the country combined pay hundreds of millions of dollars in wrongful death. Now, they don't care about that. How can they stop it? One, you got to change the law because there are laws that protect them. Think about this. If you get in the police face and your spittle, you might not intend to, but you're yelling and your spittle hit the police officer, that's assault. Your life can be turned upside down. He could then tackle you because you assaulted him. And by the way, he could tackle you, put your hands behind your back, and if you die in the process, he could say, they assaulted me, and he can get acquitted on the basis of that. Those laws need to be changed so that, one, hold them accountable for their reckless actions when it comes to citizens. And one of the principles that we could change is that citizens' rights should be esteemed highly. They're not. Cops are more valuable. And therefore, you put a bad cop with a bad... And by the way, this cop in Minnesota, he has a history of police complaints. A history. But yet the law shields him. The law needs to be changed. But that's going to be a longer, hard-fought battle. You know what could change? And I do say, if you do change the laws, that will stop them from doing that, because if you take their pensions away and you take their freedom away, they're going to stop. They're going to have more respect. But in the immediate, what could be more of a proactive, right now solution, police chiefs, mayors, sheriffs, police commissioners, they could order their cops to say, you know what? Leave the good guys alone. Behave, or we will fire you. See, they can be fired. And if you take that, they could take those proactive measures to say, you know what? Stop it. They could do it. They can do that now. And that can go a long way of changing the culture. But you got to ask the question, why isn't it that those police chiefs and commissioners and mayors, that they don't, and by the way, the prosecutors, they're further step down, but why isn't it that those don't tell those police chiefs don't tell their people, behave? Watch it, just behave, right? Or I'm going to hold you accountable. You have to ask, why don't they hold them accountable? But that could stop all of this. That's my perspective, hey guys. And don't forget to like and share this video. And please subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome. Till next time, we'll see you then.